Nick Mullen, just out of nowhere, they were talking about people who have had the world in their hands and then it all went to shit and they threw it away. And Nick Mullen brought up Nick Rekieta. And, remember we watched Fish Tank Live and Alex Stein was, what did he call it? The parable. Did he call it the parable of Steel Toe or the parable of Nick Rekieta? I think he called it both at different times. Well, now Nick Mullen is educating Dan Soder. Dan Soder's his Bert in this situation on the parable of Rekieta or the parable of Steel Toe. And this is a clip from their show today.
Hang out with an alcoholic that hasn't gotten clean yet. You go to a bar, they'll be happy. You're just like, hey, I can take you here. Why don't you have a couple of beers?
Yeah.
And they're like, I love this. And you go, because I know what you like.
Right.
But a guy that's like never had a drink and is like way too Christian, you're kind of like, I don't even know what you like. You might be into some shit that I have no idea.
There's a guy on YouTube that I kind of like. I don't really know too much about his like what he does because the whole YouTube world is sort of new to me. Really, he's like a lawyer.
Sure.
That gained some following on YouTube because he covered the Kyle Rittenhouse. He would like live stream the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
Here's what's going on.
Yes.
He'd like break it down like ESPN for law.
He did that with the Amber Heard trial too.
Got it.
And then I guess his thing was he would like have a glass of scotch on stream. He'd drink his scotch and like do his stream and talk about legal stuff. But I would imagine prior to this, he was a guy he lived in Minneapolis. He's like fucking, he's got a family.
Lawyer.
He's a lawyer, upper middle class guy.
Yeah, just goes to work.
And then like
fucking nailed. His family might be a little more than upper middle class, but yeah, that's Nick Mullen has set it up pretty much perfect so far.
Got famous on YouTube, and then he would have his glass of scotch, and then I just saw a clip. It's like a 45-second long clip, and the first one is him a couple years ago where he's got the drink. He's like, it's not a good choice or a bad choice. It's just a choice. If you can't control it, don't drink. Because I guess it's in response to someone like, hey, you drink a lot.
You have a glass of scotch every case. You're doing 2 cases a day.
And then it cuts to him, I guess, recently. He's lost 100 pounds. He's like been he looks like he's on fentanyl.
Oh,
he's like completely up. And I guess it's like he got arrested. The police found like a whole ounce of cocaine. His like kids tested positive for cocaine. Him and his wife got arrested.
So this guy got famous.
There was another YouTube.
No, Nick. We don't know. No, Nick. That part's not important. We don't need to talk about another couple being any. Nick. No, you were doing so great. That was perfect. Nick, that was good.
Famous.
There was another YouTube couple living with them, and they were all fucking each other.
Dude, I gotta.
That's not what that not important, Nick. Not important. Lest I was one of the fuckies. No, but it's I was watching this, and while I was watching it, I was like, I just don't have that gene in me. To like lean in and go all the way with like abandon everything else and just go, this is it. Like, rah. It just like I was in too deep with the whole thing almost right away. And you're like, oh, I know this is not good. Like I've talked about that church service I was at, and I was like, they're talking about me and it's fucking wrong. And that's bad. And eventually you get the fuck out. Because you're like, this just, you just weigh the pros and cons. You're like, this is just not worth it. Like there's no good ending for this. But then like the other people don't see it. And you just wonder sometimes, you're like, how the fuck do you not? And then after it all blows up in your face, how do you not admit that this is all a giant? That's the other part that just baffles me.
Look at this. I gotta look at
this. Like I got into it and I realized, I've used the Nas line before. Got in them shoes, tried them, wore them, wasn't a perfect fit, so I couldn't sport them. I wasn't about that life. I couldn't hang. I can't handle it. I like sitting back on Sundays and watching Vikings games too much. I like, I've said, I like going to Menards and pretending I know how to do shit. Some days I just like to sit and binge watch Landman or The Morning Show or Mad Men again, I'm just not about that life, that all go, no quit, just shove shit in your nose, shove it down your throat, shove it in somewhat. Like that all go, no quit. I know that Nick had said to somebody at some point on Twitter, I think, where he said, yeah, a lot of people just don't have the means to do it. And if they had the means to do it, then they would go insane and they would do it. I found out that I'm really not that guy. Because like means or no means, it's just like, no, that's too much. That's just too much everything. Everything that it is, it's just too much of it.
I gotta find this, but that's what
it's crazy because it's YouTube. Well, and like some guy got like, you know, I got 100,000 people watching my stream, and then he just goes casino. I mean, like it's like,
but that's what happens because
you know,
the people
like,
that used to make
I'm
music,
ace, dude. I'm fucking
But people that used to make music and would get like that kind of now you see them go like, well, we don't have that anymore. It's
but
gone.
that's the thing. It's not even like you're sitting in your house still.
Yeah,
it's like you have a little bit more money, but it's like something about just that exposure. You're like, well, I guess I got to be a drug addict and have a third.
God damn, I'm gonna.
That's the thing is, it's like not everybody does that. You know who does that is the people who take it too seriously. Again, they get those parasocial relationships and they don't go out and touch. Nick's a victim of that of his own behavior, but like. He didn't touch grass enough, and he valued the opinions of these strangers on the internet more than people in the real world, and he wanted to seem cool to them, and and it's not, people go, oh, the money and the notoriety. It's not that. It's once you start believing your own bullshit, and you eliminate anyone who's trying to check you, and you eliminate anyone who's trying to hold up a mirror, and you start Ray Feinstein and Red Dragon and smashing all the mirrors, or anyone who tries to show you a reflection that you don't like, you kick them out. That's what it is. It's not about money. It's about inability to see yourself or not wanting to see yourself. Again, in my opinion. Seize the Day with 279 says Nick needs to atone to God and his dear ones, not us. TJ with 199 says a horse is your source, of course, of course. I didn't say that a horse is my source. I did not say that. Oh boy. Yeah, Dead Game says Nick Mullen is talking about your ass. Nick Mullen is not talking about my ass. Oh. I do not like that Nick Mullen included me in all that. There was no reason to. Oh, wow, look at this. Mr. Beat says, looks to me like Aaron is the most honest, full of shit podcaster in this twisted universe. Believe me, that's not saying much. Yeah, damned by faint praise, if you will. McBuster says Kiki and April gossip. Nah, there's some things that Kiki's told me about her conversations with April that I won't take public. It's too damaging. It's not like the stuff we shared about Nick. That's like fun gossip. That's fun, silly gossip. Nobody's gonna get over or whatever by that. It's just kind of more of what we already know. The stuff Keanu told me about April. That's not fun gossip. That's hurting people. I don't, and I told her I wouldn't say anything on the air, so I'm not going to. Chad Buzamok says, yeah, right. You love that Mullen or anyone is talking to you or talking about you. No, I don't. He doesn't deal well with being criticized online as it is. Could you imagine a whole, like, he'll probably come back to a couple hundred people. Well, the first one might be a couple thousand just to watch a train wreck, but regularly a few hundred people. And coming back and actually with a straight face telling them drugs are bad, okay, when they saw him with sheetrock dust on his nose. I mean, Jesus Christ. Turd Burglar says, damn, so she left and he dumped her. Yeah. Jonesy the Cat says, you married that dumbass. Look, I think that goes without saying. Let's see. Sam Show says April 6K just to prove the body cam footage. April, if you don't, I won't call you a coke. Or if you do, I won't call you a coke whore for 30 seconds. I don't think. McBuster says Nick wants Aaron. April was a consolation. Billy Bob Norris says Nick really thought he could out lawyer or out 4D chess the courts. Either that or it's just desperation. I mean, alcoholism is... I don't think he knows how much of an alcoholic he might be. I mean, to offer to change... Like, I'll spend all my free time... Because remember, this is the guy who complains. I got so many kids, I don't know what to do. I'm old Mother Hubbard over here running around all the time. I will take every waking moment of my free time to talk about how drugs are bad if you'll just let me drink. Damn. Too bad Nick didn't start blaming Rumble for giving a platform for his destruction. Could have added another layer of shit to the compost pile of YouTubers. Hulkamasha Baby says, you missed my rant. He says, hey kids, this is what a line looks like. This is what a snort tray looks like. And this is how you alternate nostrils, kids. Now, who wants to try Mr. Rekieta's fun powder? I don't think a hands-on lesson is what's necessary. Pro tip, find a substitute drug they don't test for. I think the alcohol one is the toughest one. That would be the toughest, the one to find a replacement for. How reliable is this source of yours on a scale of 1 to 10, says Triple N? 8.5. 8.5. Yeah, well, that's what I know. That's the update for today. Like I said, I don't know if a plea hearing means that you pled out and you pled guilty or not, but I'd imagine I'm leaning 90-10 that today was the date that a deal was cut. But now, until January 25th, you've got to you got to keep it quiet so you don't fuck the whole thing up.